Changing the world is easy. Governments, corporations, they've always done it. Until this is all that's left. Slowly roasting under the solar rays. Forged from imperfection, steeled by technology. We're the cogs in their machine. And yet we struggle on.
So you guys previously made Lords of the Fallen. Yeah. So, robots, Lords of the Fallen, hard combat, right?
Exactly. So you really have a very, very new scenario. You have new ways of fighting, but this core dual one-on-one fight is still the core of the whole game.
We've got to manage our space, we've got to manage our attacks. What do we have at our disposal to make this happen?
Well, as we're in kind of a factory setting, we're not a military person. We're especially a guy who just had the first day on his new job, where he got fitted a very, very cool exoskeleton for heavy-duty work. He blacked out, he wakes up again, and, well, nothing is as it was before. So what we have as weapons, as tools, is what we find in this company when we try to survive there. So everything we see in the game, we can more or less pick up. Every enemy we fight, we can pick up their stuff after, yeah, we did some terrible things to our enemies first.
What can we expect to be fighting up against then?
Well, I mean, there are our former co-workers who have in some way gone insane. We don't really know what was going on. And as we try to find the people who are like still in operation, we also fight security robots, we fight disassembly drones that want to remove the trash that needs to be put to a new use, and they obviously regard us as a malfunctioning device, which is also very bad for us. And yeah, also hybrids between man and machine and whatever. There's a huge bandwidth of enemies that look and feel and behave very, very differently.
So first you find your shift manager, and then from there you're golden, right?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, this can be like a good relaxation after your workday in reality, right?
All right. Now listen. I'm sure you're smart enough to realize this area is under lockdown, quarantine, or whatever goddamn excuse they're using to get at me. I need to get out. We have to break this lockdown, and by we, I mean you.
Can we expect like a class system going to this, or is it very freeform?
Well, you don't really have like 3 classes at the beginning like we had with Lords of the Fallen, but you have one character you start with, but you can shape that character very, very much. So even more than with Lords of the Fallen. So there's a lot of things you can just pick up. We say there are always branches in the game where you say, okay, maybe I go this way, I take something heavy, or I take something light and speedy, or I take a strong weapon, or I take a defensive weapon, and so on. So I will shape my character. Also, I have kind of attributes in our game. These are implants that can be connected to your spinal system, and they give you HUD implants where you see stuff or see what, for example, enemy health bars. That's also an implant. You cannot just have it on the screen. You need to equip that to see like the life data of your enemies and stuff like that. So there's a lot that you can do to shape your character, but you don't have classes at the beginning.
Is it the kind of system with XP where you can just grind areas, or is it kind of like set levels of XP as you get through the game?
It's kind of XP, but here you collect, we call it tech scrap to advance, and you mainly use it, of course you can also level up, but you mainly use it to craft the stuff that you get from your enemies. So the whole game is focused around basically cutting off the limbs of my enemies. Either they're protected very weakly so I can defeat them faster, or I go for the cool loot and cut off a body part that is cool for me to use, be it a weapon or an armor part. And then I use my tech scrap to craft this at the crafting station, which we can imagine a little bit like being a super modern 3D printer. So I go there, analyze the stuff, which is maybe like the traditional RPG campfire where I analyze stuff, where I identify stuff. And this is what I do with this machine. And then I can craft multiple items of this and work them as weapons, as gear, and so on.
And we were chatting a little bit earlier as well, and you said that this is not the kind of game that holds your hand. So we're going to have to do lots and lots of our own exploring and figuring out, right?
Yes, so the game will, compared to Lords of the Fallen, it's way less linear, and it goes horizontal, vertical, you name it, anything, and you need to find your own way. The game does not hold your hand, like you just said. There's like not this one thread leading you through the game, or if you just never go off the beaten path, you will just not have the equipment to defeat the bosses. So you really need to go somewhere, find the stuff that you want to have, and the more you explore, the more you will be rewarded. But you really need to pay attention to your environment. It always tells you stories, it gets you to NPCs, to side quests, to secret pathways, but you do need to find this on your own.
Does some of the equipment that you're talking about, the ones you can craft, does it open up alternate pathways as opposed to ones that you wouldn't be able to get unless you had certain types of gear?
Yes, exactly. So there are several places in the game where you say, "Oh, how can I go there? Like it seems to be locked, or I have not enough power to overcome this barrier." And then later in the game, you can craft stuff, you can improve yourself, and then you say, "Well, wait a minute, there was this door in the first level. I should go back there." And then you can go back there, and there's a lot waiting for you. We had this a little bit also in Lords of the Fallen, but here we really took it to the maximum and say, okay, you can really do a lot of backtracking, it's worth it, and especially because all the stuff, like all your armor, all the stuff you need, you take from your enemies. Also grinding is much more interesting, because like if you want to have a full set of armor, like 5 pieces, you need to defeat 5 enemies wearing this, and all like do a perfect finisher to get this one piece that you want to have. And then you can go craft this. So it's really interesting to fight enemies that you already fought, because you need to do it a new way, and you really get a cool reward to finish and complete a set or something like that.
Now, Jan, when can we expect to play this game, and what can we expect to play it on?
On Xbox One, on PlayStation 4, on PC, and it's coming out 2017.
We are human, so we fight. But are we fighting for our future or theirs?